Hello, this is Hui. Welcome to watch my video, Python scripting on Linux. In this short video, we are going to demonstrate how using Python to make a HTTP request. Here on Linux, we just create a simple Python script. It's usually to be able to making HTTP request, we have to import request module, and JSON module is for parse and convert the JSON string, and the SYS module, and is for the input output. So here we just create a simple example to using Python make a scripting, making HTTP request is really simple. After we imported the request module, so we first declare a string which called a URL, which is the IP address, and this is this IP address is on my Linux server, which here is the IP address is a default Debian Apache default page. It was created once we installed the Linux. So this is a URL we're going to for the test, and to making request we got the R, which is going to be request. There's dot is get method, which is the URL. So URL is the web page IP address. So after we get the R, then the R there's a status code OK. So it's if success, this is will be true. If not success, this r.ok will be the false. So if r.ok is true, it means we success send a request to our web page, which is the IP address. So before we doing the everything, we try to see the type, which type we got returned after we made request get this URL. So we just try to print this type of R, and there's also other things called r.status code. So it means after and it's okay, we can get back to the status code. Status code is the web page return code. Usually 200 is okay, and 44, which is like a page not found, it's a standard code. If application want to check the status code of when after we made the request, this is the variable we can use. And so we just print this two to see what's R it get. So we create a function called a web page request, and our main we just call this function, and we exit. So let's just save this, and we create another terminal. We try to run this. So okay, so you can see where our R, the type of R is the class which requests the model response. So it's a class of response, and this type. So how do we use this type? And the status is 200, so it means our status is success. So how do we use this response? So we can, in order to use type which is not a standard type, so what we can do, we just okay, so we can use is using the print, which is the help hr, which will get return back the help information of this class response. So let's save this, and so let's go to another terminal. Alright, and run again. So here is the message what we got, So after we get the hot message, so this is the class response. We can have boolean. It's return the true if status code is less than 400, and this is true. If And there's a lot of methods, which is the help information of this class. So this class have a few options. If our return, we can make sure it's a JSON string. We can use this JSON function to return the JSON encoded content of response. If our response is JSON, but our web page return is HTTP file, right? So we can also have a content. This is the content response in the byte. So it means if we're using the content, the content of response is in the binary, type. So this is content. There's a text where the content of response is Unicode. Unicode is a string. So if we want to print what we response, we can use the text. Go back to our editor, and so let's remove this. If we want to print the content, we can use it, which is all the text. So if we want to print out the content of what we got after we request, we can use the r.text. So now let's save this. In order to see clearly, we just redirect to a file. So this, after first line, so we return the type of r status is 200, and from here on, and is the content after we made the request, which is the HTML out of this web page. So, and also when we got the request, this is the content. There's also return is called a header. Let's say the header, which uses r.header, and the return assigned to this is called HDR, which is the header returned from the response. So let's first, before we use it, we can use and try to see the type. What's the type of this header? So let's save this. Let's run this. You can see. So we learn the header. The type is the class request structure case insensitive DICT, which is dictionary. So it's a special dictionary with the header. If we use r.header after we did the request. So since this is a dictionary, so we can make a loop for the x into the HDR loop, and then we make a string. And the first one is the x, which is a key, and the HDRx, which is the value. So we just create a string, and then we print this string to see what the header looks like. We save this. So what we got output, this is the header. So when it's a dictionary, so we made a loop. The header, we got back the date, and the value is the time which we made the request, and the server, which is the server type, which is Apache 2.4.3 Debian, because the website we're using was default installed after we installed Debian Linux. And last modified, that's what 2020 whatever. I don't know what the E tag is using, but it's a part of header. And we use a content encoding, which is using the gzip encoding, so making and content length, and which is 3041. So if you want to handle the content string, and here you can get the content length, and the content type, which is the text HTML, which is a typical HTML header file. So in this case, we got is we made a request for the web page. This method request get not only for the working for the HTTP web page, it's also working for the HTTP web service request. So here on the Linux, I create a new. That's what I designed in the preview video. We demonstrate create a RESTful web service, and the part number is 1234, and the passcode player. And when we made this web service request, returned is the JSON format date of this one. So let's try to see if we made a service, and since the web service request return the back, and is the header and also the content. So let's say we can still using this one. And also for the web service, the return is also can be the JSON data format. So we can use r.json to get the JSON. Let's try this first line. Next time we try to, after we got the r.json, this string is what type, and we can make a print because it's JSON string to this after we convert to the JSON. Save this and look, it's done. We are going to the web service request. So you can see, and when we made the request to the web service, the response is the type, is the response class, and the status is still at 200. The header of this return is also case insensitive dictionary, and because the web service we designed, so I only make 3 is the content and connection close, content length to 16, content type, application, and the JSON, and this follows the content. The R after we using the RJSON, and the class is a dictionary. In the previous video, we say that JSON object in Python is a dictionary. So here is what we got. Its gender is a male, and name is Steven Andrews. So let's see what we got. Name is Steve Andrews. That's what exactly our web service returned. So in this example, we can see using Python to get a HTTP request is really simple. Just import the request and use r equal request dot get, give the URL. This URL is the web page, and return r content is HTML. If request is the web service, return is the JSON data format. Hello, this is Hui. Thanks to watch my video. Hopeful this is useful, enjoyable. It's going to be great to have your feedback.